and welcome to my channel. Today's video, I'm doing another Tubi horror watch guide. This time around, I'm talking about the best horror movies to stream for the summer. There's no better way to beat the summer heat than by staying inside with the AC and binging horror movies. I've compiled a list of some of my favorite horror movies currently streaming on Tubi that give me those summer feels. So let's get into it. First, I'm going to be talking about creature features. We have Lake Placid from 1999. This centers on a giant 30-foot long saltwater crocodile that is terrorizing a small town and a group of dysfunctional people who are trying to stop it. This one famously has Betty White. It's campy, it's fun, it's over the top, it's perfect summer camp. Next is Rogue from 2007. This is an Australian horror movie that centers on a group of people who are in a riverboat crocodile watching, and the trip goes horribly wrong when their boat capsizes and they become terrorized by a 25-foot long crocodile. This is supposedly based on an actual real-life crocodile that is well known in that area. However, I don't think he's ever eaten any people, so they embellished a bit on his story. Next, we have The Reef from 2010. This is a movie about a group of friends who are sailing in the middle of the ocean, and the trip goes horribly wrong when their boat capsizes and they become targets to great white sharks. This is why I don't go in the water. I very much like to be on land at all times. I don't even like to go to the beach. And next we have Bait from 2012. This movie centers on a group of people who escape a tsunami by seeking shelter in a submerged grocery store. But unfortunately for them, a group of great white sharks also seek shelter in this grocery store, and they begin picking them off one by one. This one I think is a really fun, overlooked shark movie. It was in 3D, so it's got those cheesy 3D effects, but I love the cast in this, I love the concept, and it's got some good shark kills. Next, we're moving into a section of movies that I like to call travel nightmares. First, we have Wolf Creek. This centers on a group of backpackers who are traveling through the Australian outback when their car breaks down, and they seek help from a mysterious stranger who turns out to be a deranged psychopath with a liking for knives and heads on sticks. Then we have The Hills Have Eyes remake. So this is from Alexandra Aja. It is the update to the Wes Craven classic about the family who are traveling across the country through the desert, and they take a shortcut that goes horribly wrong and their car breaks down and they become terrorized by a group of mutant freaks. This one is dark, it's heavy. I like this one a lot more than the original, which I also think is available on Tubi. It's violent, it has some really disturbing essay scenes in it, so go into this one with your guard up if you're worried about that sort of thing. But I love the story and how the main character goes through so much growth, and it's just a story about survival and family, and I love it. And I love the two dogs in it so much. Then we have The Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974. This is the Tobe Hooper classic about a group of 5 youths who are traveling through Texas, and they encounter a deranged family, which features Leatherface and his chainsaw, and they terrorize them for the rest of the movie. This features cannibalism, grandpas, and a really messed up dinner scene. Next, we have Vacancy. This is centered on a married couple who pull over to a roadside motel for the night, and they discover that it's actually a center for snuff films, and they're next on the list of participants. So I love this movie so much. It's super underrated. The concept is terrifying. You're out in the middle of nowhere and you have nowhere to go, and your only shelter is also a prison. So it's just a horrifying situation. And I love Kate Beckinsale and Luke Wilson. So then we have Tucker and Dale versus Evil. This is a horror comedy that is about a group of college kids who automatically assume that Tucker and Dale are just redneck hillbilly psychos that plan on killing them, and the situation goes completely out of control. I love this one because it subverts your expectations, it flips horror tropes on its head, and Tucker and Dale are just so great, and it's just so funny. It's hilarious. Next, we have Sleepaway Camp. So this is about a young girl who's sent to a sleepaway camp after her family died tragically, and when she's there, her fellow campers begin getting killed off one by one. I have a confession. I still have never seen this movie. I know. I plan to watch it this summer, finally. I've seen bits and pieces. I know the huge reveal that happens, so I feel like I've seen it, but I haven't but I will, okay? I will. Next, we have Eden Lake. This is a movie I do not recommend lightly because it is a one and done movie for me. This is about a couple who are on a romantic getaway on a beautiful lake, and their beautiful afternoon turns into a nightmare. They become targets of a group of psychotic teens who just want to inflict violence on them and just kill them, basically. This one is horrific. The stuff that happens to this couple is horrible, and it's horrifying that it's happening from children, and it has a gut-wrenching ending. It's not a feel-good film, but if you're looking for a disturbing camp lakeside horror movie, this is an excellent pick. Then we have Psycho from 1960. This Hitchcock classic centers on a young woman who pulls into a roadside motel known as Bates Motel, and she encounters the weird and creepy caretaker named Norman Bates, who has a weird relationship with his mother. Then we have Children of the Corn. This is based on the Stephen King short story of the same name. It centers on a couple who are driving cross country when they stumble upon this weird town that is overrun by a cult of children. Outlander! I have your woman! This one just feels hot and sticky and gross, and that's what I love about summer horror. Then we have House of Wax. This centers on a group of people who are traveling to a football game when their car breaks down, and they seek help in this weird little town that is seemingly abandoned, except for the House of Wax, where two weird-ass brothers live, and it's a horrifying nightmare. I feel like this movie gets a lot of unnecessary hate. I think this is fun. It accomplishes what it set out to do. I love the small town setting in the House of Wax, and the wax figure effects are so creepy and effective. I just think it's well done. I think it's a fun slasher. Next we have Evil Dead. This is the remake of the Sam Raimi classic. This is about a group of friends who have a getaway in a cabin, and it goes horribly wrong when they find the Book of the Dead and read from it, because why wouldn't you read from a book of Latin in a horror movie? It's essential. Next, we have Borderland. This is centered on a group of 3 college friends who are having a fun trip in Mexico before they head back to grad school, and their trip goes horribly wrong when they become targets to a satanic cult that likes to sacrifice humans. This is a really harrowing one. It's based on an actual event that happened in an actual murder. It's so messed up and disturbing and sad, and it will make you afraid to travel outside of the country. Next, we have The Triangle. This is a really entertaining watch starring Melissa George. It centers on a group of friends who take a yacht trip, and it goes horribly wrong when they enter the Bermuda Triangle and their boat capsizes. But lucky for them, or unlucky for them, they find this cruise ship just floating in the middle of the ocean, and they go on board to get help. It's abandoned, and things get really bad for them after that. It gets worse, much worse. This one is twisty, it's trippy, it goes places you don't expect, and it's just a lot of fun. And then we have Dagon. This centers on a group of people who are on a boat in the middle of the ocean. They experience an accident and they seek help on a nearby island. But this island is really strange. It's filled with weird people. And got to find out, this island worships this ancient sea god. Next, we're moving into Carnival Horror. So first up, we have The Devil's Carnival. This is a musical, and I actually haven't seen it yet, so I plan to watch it this summer. An obsessed father, a kleptomaniac, and a gullible teenager are cast from heaven by God, wandering the frightening, unsympathetic midway of The Devil's Carnival. This is from Darren Bousman, who did one of the Saw films. I think it gets a lot. It's a cult fave, so I'm excited to check it out. I'm not a huge musical fan, but I do like carnivals, so. Then we have Carnival of Souls. So this is a horror classic that centers on a young woman who survives a horrific accident, and after, she wakes up and she's drawn to this mysterious town with a weird carnival. This one has some really effective scares. It's filled with so much atmosphere and dread, and there are really haunting moments, especially one particular moment where this woman is driving into town and she sees a ghoul floating outside her car. It's excellent and I love this movie. And then we have 31. This is a Rob Zombie horror movie about a group of carnival workers who are terrorized by sadistic maniacs as part of some weird, bizarre, murderous game. I actually don't like this one. I thought it was really just a downer and all the characters are extremely unlikable, but it's been years since I've watched it, so I'd like to give it another go. I know that some people do really like this one, and I am a fan of Rob Zombie. So I like his movies. And then we're moving into some horror movies that I didn't really know how to characterize them. We have The Ice Cream Man, which is perfect for summer. What better treat to have during hot summer days than ice cream? So this centers on an ice cream man played by Clint Howard, and he escapes an insane asylum and begins kidnapping kids in town with his ice cream, and he opens up an ice cream factory and he has sinister plans for that. I just think this is such a campy horror movie. It's got over-the-top kills. It's an over-the-top situation, and Clint Howard is excellent as the lead bad guy. I love that it is focused on the ice cream man who you really don't know anything about your local ice cream man. Like, I remember we used to have one named Eddie in our town. We would act like he was our best friend, but he could have been a fucking murderer. He could have been an absolute creep. So I just love that it plays with that idea. There's also a kid in this that looks exactly like Macaulay Culkin, and I'm pretty sure that's why they picked him and he's on the cover. Then we have Insidious Chapter 3. This is my favorite. This takes place years before the events in the first two Insidious films. It centers on a young girl whose mother dies, and she seeks help from Elaine to contact her spirit. But in doing so, it opens her up to unwanted spirits. And then she gets hit by a car and she breaks her legs and she is stuck in her bedroom in her apartment. I just love that it's got those Rear Window vibes. This young girl can't leave. She's very limited in what she can do, so she's extra vulnerable in this situation. The apartment setting is my favorite. There's so many things that can go wrong in an apartment setting, so many different personalities, and there's a whole upstairs floor that's super creepy. I just love everything about this one, and it's directed by Leigh Whannell, who is an excellent director, and I love that we got to see him play with the Insidious world here. I think he did a great job. And there you have it. That's my Tubi summer horror watch guide. I can continue adding to this list because there are so many movies on Tubi right now. I also would love to do just a general summer horror guide, so let me know if you're interested in seeing that. Let me know what movies on this list you're most excited to watch or what movies you've seen, and please leave me some recommendations that you think I should check out. And thank you so much for watching, guys. I will catch you next time. Bye.